Anyway, home repairs.
Home repairs. Okay. Well, that's good. And Paul said he had somebody else visiting with his wife. Evidently, he came on Wednesday night. Of course, I'm not in his class. You're not in there either. So, evidently, he had a visitor come one.
The guy came Wednesday night before last.
Yeah.
And I thought he sounded like he would come back.
And he didn't come back, but he came this morning, evidently, with his wife.
Was that him?
It was him this morning, yeah. Evidently. He cleaned up. Evidently, he cleaned. I don't know anything about it. I just heard him talking about him. That he was encouraged because he came back. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, that's good.
Yep. All right. What's up, Eric? What's going on, Barbara Beach?
Home. He was a good friend.
Nothing much.
Nothing much. There's my wife. My wife that didn't want to show herself. Hello, wife. Hello, wife. Melania.
Who are
Melania?
you? How did I
How
get
are
here?
you? Who are you? You show your lovely face if you like. She's probably driving down the road. We always drive. That's what we do for a living. Yep.
Well, hello.
That's what we do for a lifestyle. Your mic is mute, baby. Muted. You showed us yourself, but you muted your mic.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Hey, y'all.
Just that quick.
All right. So anybody remember, I think we're on chapter 10 today, right? Were we right about that? We were having an argument about it. Della's been paying attention the most, I think. So she is leading. She's leading us. So she said chapter 10. So I'm confused. I have a right to be confused because I'm going through Genesis. Me and my buddy Eric here from Uganda. We're doing it every morning, and we're up to, what are we on? We just did 17 today. Is that what it was? Chapter 17?
Yeah, it is 17.
Yeah, so we're on chapter. So tomorrow we're doing 18. So we're going to be, sooner or later, we'll be on a different stratosphere and leave this behind. But so I'm doing it. But right now I'm like, where are we at? Because they're together. They're kind of correlating together. But
where are we at tonight?
We're on chapter 10. So we're going to do some genealogy things here. And so anybody want to open us up in prayer? All right. Anybody?
Lord Jesus, thanks for this day. Thank you for this church. Thank you for what we stand for and what we believe. Watch over each one of us and bless us, and pray that we get a blessing from this service tonight. Bless in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. And whoever's got the like wind noise. Might be you, Eric. I think you got some wind noise going on, buddy. There we go. Maybe not. Where's the wind coming from? I have no idea. Okay, well, we'll ignore it, I guess. Does y'all hear that? What is that? I don't know what it is. All right, cool. So let's go. Anybody want to start from reading? Chapter 10. All right. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. This is reiteration from last week where we talked about these and the sin of Ham and passed on to his son Canaan, right? So it's just a legal, writing down the genealogy, right? The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz. No wonder nobody wanted to read. Riphath and Togar Mal. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Donadim. From these, the coastland people spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans in their nations. And remember, each one of these suns, and each one as the suns go down. I mean, this is recreating civilization, right? So you have each one it's going to be a whole different nation, a whole other city. But as they grow up, they're going to go out and do their own, create their own city state, and there goes the school at 6 o'clock every
have
day.
different languages?
Huh?
Why would they? They don't. I mean, all these boys had the same language when they come off the ark. Why would they have different languages when they separate into clans or whatever?
Oh, each with his own. That is true. Spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans in their nations. Huh. That is very interesting here. Yeah. I mean, as you spread out, you're going to come up with your own. If you know anything about, if you studied languages at all, there's a progression. I mean, we can see it in our time, how languages change, how the kids of today speak totally foreign language. It seems a lot of time. Like my kids, I'm like, just stop that. Whatever you're saying, I don't want to hear it. Stop it. I had to do it with all three of my kids at different ages, and it's all been different slang that they've added into their. So it's changed even in their little bit of range. So just imagine that you're getting isolated. This different new culture is going to come up with its own slang and its own terms. They're going to be different from the next city, state, and those kind of things. Like the South versus the North. We have our different slangs and different ways of speech. So, it's just a natural progression. Okay, so the sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. And Nimrod's a big one. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Okay. Therefore, it is said that, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord, that he's like if you, so basically, we're saying he's so famous and so popular that when they see somebody that's a mighty hunter, a mighty warrior, they'll kind of correlate to the Nimrod. And evidently, in the time that this is written, even that time, they still said this. They still referred back to Nimrod, right? So that's what he's saying here. So the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. So here we go with the Babel. Eric. Oh no. Stop. Eric, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From the land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh. We know Nineveh, right? Rio, both Ir, Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. Egypt fathered Ledam, Ananim, Leabim, Naphtahim, blah, 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 from who the Philistines came, and Caphtorim. All right, so we got this tracking of all these different nations throughout the centuries. So Canaan fathered Sidon and his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, and the Hivites, the Arkites, and the Sinites, the Harvanites, and the Semerites, and the Hamathites, and the Termites. That's what every preacher does when they go through these things. They have to add termites. I've heard so many of them do that. And the termites. Afterward, the clans of the Canaanites dispersed, and the territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon to the direction of Gerar as far as Gaza, in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, Zeboim, and as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Now, you'll probably just, I mean, we're not going to go through a genealogy class. I mean, I'm sure it has lots of depth in here, but we just see some highlighted ones, right? We see Sodom, we see Gomorrah, right? Those are the big ones that we'll see in the future with problems. And these are all sons of Ham. These are all from that bad, that part that we had a little conflict with whatever happened with Noah and his nakedness and drunkenness. So this is part of that sin begetting sin begetting sin. You know what I mean? To Shem, also the father of all children of Eber, the older brother of Japheth, the children were born, the sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hol, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. To Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother named was Joktan. Joktan fathered Olmadad, Sheleph, Hazar, oh my goodness, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Amimael, Sheba, Ophir, okay. All these were sons of Joktan. The territory in which they lived extended from Mesha in the direction of Sephar and the hill country of the east. These are the sons of Shem by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. So we have these different. That is interesting. We have their languages, their lands, and their nations. These are the clans of the sons of Noah, according to the genealogies, in their nations, and from their nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. Which is interesting because we're about to get into the Tower of Babel, right? So it is kind of interesting that they have different languages. Maybe that means like different dialects, different like southern versus northern. Creole. The different, because they're all speaking English, but they speak it differently. It is, that's interesting. You picked up on that. I didn't pick up on that. Their languages, because we're about to get into that in a minute. So, Miss Enduring Word, Della, what did the Enduring Word tell us about chapter 10? I'm sure there was some very interesting things on chapter 10 that the Enduring Word pointed out. We got Nimrod. I know Nimrod is the big dog here. And
My Bible study will call you later.
Tell her to get here.
She probably just got home from work. Bless her heart.
All right.
She's trying to do too much now. Okay, let's see. What is it going to give us?
So we got the sons of Canaan. So remember that Canaan and Ham. And Shem is the father of children of Eber. Children were also the Shem. From Shem came Elam, who was the ancestor of the Persian people. Okay, so we got the Persian people, Asia Minor people. Not to say. Okay, so the sons of Aram were Uz, Hol, Gether, and Mash. Uz, later a region of Arabia, was named after his son of Aram. Job came from the land of Uz. Well, that's interesting. We got some reference in Job. Job 1 came from the land of Uz. So we see that here.
It's not really doing a nice breakdown.
It's not, because this is a and I mean, we could probably find somebody that's going to break it down like really and show a big map, and we could go into real detail. But I'm going to highlight us because that is where I might even put a note. Yeah, never mind. Us is where Job is from, so that's pretty interesting. But summary statement: the nations of the flood. These were the families of the sons of Noah. Okay, okay. So hence,
I got a map.
huh? You got the map of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can pretty much see they're spreading out in this area. The sons are going in different places. One of the highlighted things I saw was that the Canaan descendants, the Ham descendants, produced Sodom, Gomorrah, and we'll see that pretty soon with Lot. When he chooses the land, he goes and lives in Sodom, and we'll see what happens. If you don't know already, we'll see what happens there. So yeah, I think that's about pretend. I mean, does anybody have anything stick out that really pops out besides those things in chapter 10?
No, I'm kind of like Melvin. I kind of want to know how they all of a sudden had a whole different language.
Well,
Read chapter 11, verse 1.
well, get the chapter
Yeah.
11. I mean, maybe this is okay. This is doing the genealogy. Maybe this way it was just written. Okay, because you remember Moses is writing this in the future about the past. So he's writing this genealogy, including in their different languages. And then we get to the Tower of Babel, where we have the dispersion by God. Or maybe it's talking about just different linguists, but these, like a lot of countries now, everybody speaks, for business wise across the world. We've kind of become that Babel again, where everybody speaks English. That's like the world language, right? It's become the world business language. But like my brother Eric here, how many languages you know? Like 3 languages, 3 or 4. He's got
like 6.
6. Yeah, he knows like 6 different languages. As his different tribal, the national language is his own personal like tribal languages, and the different languages. He knows English, of course. So all these nations can still communicate with each other, even though you're going to have your little tribal language like that. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. We'll see. So, anybody want to start here at chapter 11?
Now the whole earth had one language and one language.
Mm-hmm.
It came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly."
Mm-hmm.
They had brick for stone. They had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad across the face of the whole earth."
Mm-hmm.
The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built, and the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them."
All right, hold on. Okay, so let's stop there. Let's see what's going on here. All right, so like I said, we have one language and all the same words, and the people were migrated from the east. Okay, so what's going on here? God's told Noah and his family to be fruitful and multiply again. We're supposed to go out and cover the whole earth and repopulate the earth. And evidently, these people did not want to. They're trying to stay commuted, stay connected, and not spread out. Yeah, we hear your dog. Sounds like my house. So I got big dogs, but so this is right from that beginning. We have a problem. It's like God's telling everybody to go out and fill the earth, and they're not. So that's one of the big problems here. And so they're make bricks and burn them thoroughly. We have this bitumen and mortar. Think about where this is taking place. Where this is in the Middle East, right? And they actually have this bitumen is like this tar stuff that comes up, just seeps up out of the ground. They have the rich, oil reserves and all in that land, and evidently still today, they still have that stuff coming up from the ground. So they're making this city and this tower out of this beautiful. You're making the bricks, so they're building this tower, and it's not so much that it's super tall, that it was. This is my understanding from studying this stuff this past week and all, is that they were taking it and they were covering it in the pitch and basically making it waterproof. So you see what they're doing here? They're making it waterproof. So they're not believing God when he said he's not going to flood the earth again. They're trying to preserve themselves and create basically another ark and create a tower and their own understanding and cover it in pitch and make it waterproof, make it weather resistant. No matter what God throws at them, they'll be able to basically survive it. Is the way, kind of the understanding is that this is a waterproof tower of protection.
It's the first time I've ever heard.
I just learned it was this when we were studying, when we had this that day. I was just like, oh, that is so cool. It's covered in pitch, and it may be actually.
I thought the height was the thing.
It's not really the height thing. Yeah, and that's kind of the way we read it. I mean, it's they made brick and stone and bitumen for the mortar, and then they come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top to the heavens. So it's tall, but I mean, it's not like they couldn't make it like what we're doing now. You know what I mean? I mean, we're doing stuff that's insane. Over the face of the whole earth, and the Lord came to see the city and the tower which the children of man built. Behold, they are one people. They are one people, and they all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Okay, and we just came off of the big flooding of the whole earth because mankind got so corrupt. So God's deciding, look, they're doing this again. They're getting technologically advanced, and I guess, in creating this thing that will protect them. They're not having faith in God, saying that they're not going to flood the earth again, and trying to stay together and become corrupt again, I guess. So where did we leave off? You want to?
Come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad, and from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly what that last chapter, when it said the different language, I think that's what it is. This is just an excerpt of the genealogies.
Mm-hmm.
And then, unless that's the way I'm taking it. But then he's going to scatter them all over the whole earth. So I don't know with a different language thing. It is kind of confusing when you go from one chapter where it says they all had their own language. And then we go into, they all had one language. You know what I mean? So,
Well, do we know that chapter 10, chapter 11 are in chronological order, or are they combined?
That's what I'm saying. Is it all one thing? And remember, there wasn't any chapter separations. This chapter and verses and all this stuff is just put together by some, whoever decided to put the Bible together, in complete,
So a lot's going on. It's only been 2 years since the flood.
yeah, a whole lot's going on.
But a year back then could have been 1,000 years now.
Yeah, where'd you
Yeah,
get the
we
2
kind of-
years?
Oh, yeah, had to get 2 years.
Where'd you get the 2 years from? I think this is some time afterwards.
But how did they populate the earth enough to
Right.
build
Yeah.
the cities and
I think I think there's some time passed here. There's some time. There's definitely been some time passed, where these families have spread out, because you've got the genealogy. We just did the genealogies, and all these sons have spread out. All these new cities have been built. So I think we've got some time under our belt on this one. I don't know how many years it is, but it's definitely some time built on here. Let's see what we got. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower. The personal character of the language indicates that perhaps was a time when God came in the form of a man in the person of Jesus Christ. So the speculation here is that Jesus Christ actually came down and was walking around saying, "What are they doing?" Okay, so let us go down. The plural reference to us. Another subtle reference of the Trinity, of course. Yes, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. The potential of the fallen man is terrible and powerful. When we think of the horrific accomplishment of evil from men in the 20th century, the great ability of the nations is it's a painful consideration. The Lord scattered them abroad. The forced separation of men from Babel was more God's mercy than a judgment. God, in dividing men both linguistically and geographically, put a check on the power of the fallen nature. Okay, he's putting this. Does he address last chapter's? Let me see. Let's go. I'm going trying to figure out about the language thing. That's bothering me. I didn't catch it the first time I went through this. I don't see anybody talking about that. I think it's just because that is what you got.
In the E, it says the Lord confused the language of all the earth. The division of the language is a fascinating subject. Modern
Linguistics.
Now, no man did not invent language any more than man invented his own circulatory nervous system. Most just speak language. So, yeah, it's really not.
Well, I mean, okay, well,
language cannot be man putting together sounds for himself. For example,
I don't know either. I think this all goes together. I think this is like chapter 10 is it just a genealogy, a stamp. It's like saying this is the genealogy of what happened, and now we're going back into the stories. We're taking a break from the story, doing a genealogy, and then now we're getting back into the story, back into the history. So I think that's what happened here. That's why it has. So that's why you had the difference in one saying they all had their different language. Then we go into here. Oh, they all had the same language, but God's got to disperse them. So, okay. So he's going to confuse their language. Shem's descendants. Then we go back to some descendants. These are the generations of Shem. When Shem was 100 years old, he fathered Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. Okay, this is where you're getting the 2 years from. And Shem lived after his father Arpachshad 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Wow. Shem lived 500 years. And I thought these years were going to start
being normal.
Being normalized, right? What happened? Where did 120 come in? When Arpachshad had lived 35 years, he fathered Shelah, and Arpachshad lived after he fathered Shelah 403 years, and after his sons and daughters, and Shelah had lived 30 years, he fathered Eber. And when Shelah lived after he fathered Eber 403 years, he had other sons and daughters. and he lived 34 years. He fathered Peleg, and blah, 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 blah. We go on and we go on and we go on. And the point of this one is to get to who?
Abraham.
Abram. Yeah. So when Terah had lived 70 years, he fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay. So Terah's descendants. Okay. So what we had a genealogy, right? In chapter 10 was just all genealogy. And then we had this little excerpt, this little storyline where it explains what men were doing and how God kind of did a judgment or just and spread them out all over the place and changed and mixed up their languages, confused their languages. So, and then we get directly right back into another genealogy that's leading us to the next series of stories, right? So basically showing how we're going from Noah all the way down until we get to Terah, which is Abram's father. So Terah. Now these are the generations in verse 27 here. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran fathered Lot. So these are key ones, Abram and Lot. Haran died in the presence of his father Terah in the land of his kindred in Ur. Remember Ur, that's where Job's from, of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. So we got Abram and Sarai. And the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah and Iscah. And now Sarai was barren. She had no child. Okay, so we're getting the setup for the Abrahamic story we're about to get into big time, right? So we got Abram and Nahor and Haran. So we get the three brothers. One of his brothers, Haran, dies before the father does, right? So we got Lot is a key figure, and Lot ends up living with Abram and the family, and Abram's nephew. So he ends up taking him under his wing because he didn't have a father anymore, and pretty much he becomes a son for him. So we see, and then he marries his wife Sarai, and verse 31. Terah took Abram. Okay, this is pretty good. I got this whole section right here highlighted because this is pretty interesting stuff. Terah took Abram his son and Lot the son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and then went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. What's his name? David Guzik has a little bit different view than I did on this. But I've always looked at this, just strictly reading through this about Terah, that Terah, it's kind of implied that Terah was on the same journey that Abram's about to be called on. And maybe Abraham was called on it, but it seemed like because he was heading towards the promised land. It said he was heading toward the land of Canaan, but when they came to Haran, they settled there. So it's like he was going there. He was going where Abram eventually will go, and had the intention of going there for some reason. It doesn't say God called him or anything, but that for some reason he was going there. But he ended up settling, and he didn't go the whole entire way. And then he ends up dying in that area. So,
well, that's just the hand of God. He's not
Yeah.
taking a giant step. It's one
Yeah.
step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't specifically say God told Terah to go. Now you got to understand this family is a family of idol worshippers. They are, they're not just worshiping. They may worship Yahweh, but they worship other gods as well. So this is a mixed worshiping family that at this point. But all right, so let's get into 12 here. What time we got? We're good playing time. The call of Abraham or Abram. Now the Lord said to Abram. Anybody want to read here? Let y'all go.
Go from your country, your people, and your household to the land I will show you. I'll make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. And whoever curses, I will curse. And all the people will be blessed through you.
Mm-hmm.
So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old, and when he set out from Haran, he took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran. And they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what y'all see here? Some highlights.
Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills of Bethel and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram set out and continued to Nevi.
Negeb. Yeah. All right, so let's go back over to the beginning here. So now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country, your kindred, and your father's house to the land that I will show you." So this is having a personal revelation from God to go do this. And that's a pretty powerful thing. And he's supposed to be leaving his family, leaving everything behind, leaving his old ways behind. And God's making him a promise. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. And you see how that's written. It's like you will be a blessing not just that he's blessed, but that he will be a blessing. He's going to be a blessing to who?
What?
Who's he going to be a blessing to?
Everybody.
Everybody. Yeah, everybody. Exactly. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Yeah, exactly. So he's making this huge promise to Abram and telling him to go. And I love these arise and go moments that God has. I like to highlight those. It's like, all right, he's telling somebody to go. He's telling somebody to do something. And then we go down here to verse 4. And what's it say there? So Abram went. It's like, yes. God said, go do this. And he went. He did it. He went. And the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old. So he's already 75 years old. So he's already past his prime, maybe. You're looking at the ages still being
like 500.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I mean, they're talking.
He lived 175 years.
Yeah, so he's middle aged, maybe middle aged.
Yeah.
You know, he's
He obviously hadn't decrepit.
Yeah,
feeble.
he's still able to get around because he's about to go on this huge, But have you hiked with Melvin? I mean, how old are you? 80? I mean, this man right here wear me out. It's at 80, so I don't know. Maybe he's just in shape. But
Well, God basically gave him. He had a covenant, but there was a covenant between the Lord and Noah, and there was a covenant between the Lord and Abraham.
yeah. It's like the covenant is just. That's the way I like to look at the entire Bible. Okay, and this is as we go through it, you'll see that it's almost like mankind. Like you take Adam, you take mankind in its overall, essence of mankind. And in the beginning, it's a child, it's a baby, right? And it doesn't know much. And when it's a baby, you're not really speaking a lot of things, and because it can't understand what you're telling it, right? And as it grows up, you're telling it, don't do this, don't do that, do this. As far as don't touch the stove because it'll burn you. So a lot of these laws and things we'll see that they're just like, don't do this because it's bad for you. I'm not going to tell you why it's bad for you, but just don't. You know what I mean? It's a lot of these things he's just telling you as a good father not to do. And then as he grows up, it more and more gets revealed to him, and more understanding to mankind. God starts revealing more and more. And eventually, the coming of age, when God says, okay, you're on your own. And I kind of look at that as when Jesus comes in and fulfills God's plan and makes a path back to righteousness with him, right? That's kind of all right, you're on your own. I've given you all the law. You have full understanding. Now it's time for you to go out and live this with the commandments of the completion of the law, that you must love God and love others. This is, and just like our, the motto here: love God, love others, and make disciples. That's kind of like the core of all the other stuff I've been telling you throughout this, and revealing slowly, and making these covenants, making these promises, and teaching you as I'm raising you up. And that's kind of what I see with the whole Bible, stretched out. It's like it's just one process of, like with Adam and Eve, really ignorant, super ignorant, and then they became, their eyes were opened and they realized they were naked. I mean, so there's a whole another level there to wiping everybody out and starting over with Noah, which has more understanding. But then we get into even more deeper covenants and all with Abram, and more faith has to be endured. I mean, not endured, but oh, hey, Jason's on here. Cool. Or Joanne. Oh, my grandmother's on here. Cool. Thought I said Jason. I was about to get excited. I'm excited about you too, Mom Joe. But anyways, I'd still see. That's just the way I kind of look at this overall, the grand picture. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wondered if Adam and Eve had not eaten of the tree of good and evil, knowledge, whatever.
Yeah.
And they had progressed. I wonder how the story would have went after 1,000 years, or.
Well, I mean, we see.
But it would have been like, I'm just wondering, would it have been like animals, like they don't wear clothes?
Yeah. Say if no man ever sins or whatever, the act of doing the knowledge of, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it's in my eyes, it's more symbolic than actual. There was some kind of mystical, magical thing that happened with this fruit that as soon as you bit into it, something in the juices created some kind of chemical balance that made you smart.
Well,
I think it's
sin.
but it was that breaking away from God,
Yeah.
the sin itself is what created. Because
But
I don't think
if
there's anything wrong with that tree.
Yeah.
God just said, "Don't do it," and you're not supposed to
And it was
do it.
just like it was like
Well, what I
a
was
rule, a
saying,
directive,
if sin
were you
had
gonna
never
be
come
obedient?
into the world,
Yeah,
can you imagine what the world would be like today?
well, it'd be totally different. I mean, I don't even think we can
It's
understand.
hard to imagine.
It'd be like heaven. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
what it would be. It would be like heaven.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's just the kind of, because it was a heavenly state, a perfect environment, everything perfect, everything in harmony.
Everything lived off grass or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So it was a
The whole
perfect.
earth would be like the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm. But with freedom and freedom of choice, I mean, it's kind of inevitable that somebody's going to mess up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody would have done it eventually.
Sarah,
It's like somebody got curious and been like, what's the big deal about this tree over here? Something. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's interesting to ponder, but all right. So where are we going? So Abram went, and the Lord had told him 75 years old. Yeah. So we see this is where Lot, his brother's son, his nephew, and he took all these people and left his family. They came to Canaan, the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land of the place of Shechem. I remember Canaan. This isn't a pleasant area. This is from that lineage that's going to be unpleasant people in this area, the Canaanites. All right. How far did you get down? Okay. Then the Lord appeared to Abram here in verse 7 and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he's making this promise that he's going to give this land that is definitely not occupied by his people. So he built an altar to the Lord. And this is a key thing that if you want to kind of highlight or underline in your Bible, he built an altar to the Lord. And we'll see when Abram, everywhere he goes, he builds an altar to the Lord. And it's kind of a good representation for us as well, that wherever we go, we are supposed to be that living altar. Our bodies are supposed to be the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? So everywhere we go, we're supposed to be building that altar to the Lord, and thanking Him for and being that representation. So he's building these altars and kind of making place markers, and also it's an evangelistic tool. So somebody stumbles around and they're like, he's not only making a claim to the land, but he's giving that land to the Lord, and he's making an open profession of faith in this, and we'll see where he actually comes back later to this same one, and so it's definitely a good marker. So he moved the hill east of Bethel and pitched his tents, but Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east, and there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed on, still going toward the Negeb. Yes. All right, so anybody want to start here in 10?
Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I may be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarah was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram and fell for her sake. And Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarah. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she was my? Why did you say she is my sister? So that I took her to be my wife. Now, then here's your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave order for Abram to his men, and they set out on their own with his wife and everything he had.
This is such a crazy story.
Going back to what you
Yeah.
said earlier, and you were saying we were talking about the age, like Abraham was 75 when he left Haran.
Yeah.
Well, that means Sarah was
Yeah. Yep.
okay.
And
But
she's
she
beautiful.
gets to Egypt,
Yep.
she's got to be 65 plus,
Yep.
and she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of figure Abraham he's probably still
Yeah, he's
young
still
buck, kind of,
still-
not a young buck,
Yeah.
but he's
yeah. So they're still in their coming to their prime.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that makes
answers
sense.
that question.
Maybe it's like a half. Maybe it's about a half. Maybe we can look at that. 75 would be 35, maybe 35, 40.
Like that.
And I mean, I know my wife's. I'm not gonna say how old she is, but she's still very good looking, and so it's a.
Nobody's trying to kill you.
I do get the contractors come with the house saying, "Can I speak to your?" My wife opens the door and asks to speak to her dad. Like, she looks a lot more younger than I do. But yeah, this is a crazy story though, and it happens 3 times. This same kind of situation happens 3 times in here, and it's an interesting. It doesn't say in this account, but in the future we find out in the next account. The next time it happens, we find out that he's not completely lying.
Yeah.
In this, he's just kind of telling a half truth. He's like, "This is my sister. It's true. This is his sister. She was his sister. I mean, this is." But like a half sister kind of thing or whatever, which sounds strange today, but they had to do what they had to do to make the population grow. Yeah, but anyways.
Just look the other way.
Oh my gosh. Well, they didn't have the problem with gene problems, I don't think, at this early stage of mankind.
That was before we couldn't marry cousins.
Yeah.
Well, in the process of telling Pharaoh that was his sister,
Mm-hmm.
he acquired all kind of.
And he did. He got all
rich
kinds
in
of,
it.
he's getting rich off this. It's so weird and so strange. And he gets blessed by it. I mean, it's kind of understandable if you go back to this age. I mean, he's going into this foreign land, and he's already wealthy. He's already got some stuff. He's already wealthy from his father's house, and he's been growing his nation. We'll see. He's got an army of people. He gets trained and all. He's doing well for himself. So he's going into this land, escaping the famine, going into Egypt, and it's like they're going to kill us. So maybe it was just one of these. We've got to do what we got to do to survive. And I think a lot of times there is provision for that you have to do what you got to do to survive. And it's, and God's a discerning person, being that understands you got to do what you got to do to survive. And nothing happened to her. She kept pure in this. They didn't, God stopped them and protected them from her being raped or whatever, or taken into the bed, and we know that because, why did you say she was my sister? So I took her for my wife. Then, here is your wife. Take her and go. And the Pharaoh gave the men orders. Where does it say? Maybe, I don't know. There's somewhere in here where it talks about, saw her and praised her, Pharaoh, and the woman was taken in the Pharaoh's house and for her sake he dealt well with Abraham, and he had sheep. Blah, 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 blah. Hmm. Does it say anything about? Maybe it doesn't say anything about that. Do you see anything about it not doing anything to her?
Not in that their Bible.
I don't see it either. Maybe it's in the next passage I'm thinking of. So, okay, so he just saw the woman. Sarah attracted attention, but because she was very beautiful and because she was the companion of an obviously wealthy and influential man, the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house, understanding that the place Abram and Sarai having God's redemptive plan, we realize how serious this was. God did not want Sarai's womb to be defiled by a gentle king because of Messiah would come from her line of descendants. So, in the idea of this commentary guy, he's thinking she was not defiled.
Yeah, but God wasn't going to have that anyway.
Yeah. So
we know God will for that.
Interesting. If it didn't say specifically, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. So God blessed Abram even when he didn't do what he should do. God continued to protect Abram even when Abram acted like a liar. God did not call back his promise to Abram because the promise depended on God and not Abram. And we'll see this with Abram many, many times with the covenant he lays down with him shortly in the future. I guess probably next week. It's a unilateral thing. And all these covenants that are made with us, think about Jesus on the cross. This is a unilateral thing with God. That everything's on him. Everything's relying on him and his faithfulness. None of this is relying on us because we can't. We cannot fulfill any covenant with God on our own. It's all relying on him. And this message is portrayed even way back here in Genesis that with Abram, that Abram could not, and he would fail, and he would lie, and he would do stupid things. But God still, because of his faith, because he trusted in God, because he walked with God, he still took care of him, even when he was doing stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And still blessed him even when he was doing stupid things. So it's pretty interesting that he walks away with these huge blessings. And there's so many of these stories in here too that we'll see where just like, you know what? You're lying, cheating, but when God chooses somebody, I mean, he's got you. I mean, he's like, I know you're not worthy, but I'm gonna make I got a plan for you. You know what I mean? And which is reassuring for us, or for me anyways. I mean, it's like, okay, cool, because I am definitely not worthy, right? So any more comments on this? What'd you get out of that, Dylan?
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole repopulation thing for me. How it was good then and not now. But I mean, who would want to?
I talk about the
whole
ancestral thing. Well, there's
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
It had to be.
yeah. I mean, what was he gonna do? Just go pick up dust from everywhere and just breathe new people?
Well, that's my buddy Eric, which he's gone off of here. That's actually his idea. That's his, and he actually told me that God told him that in a dream because he was really hurt over these passages about the incest, about marrying sisters and things like this. That he told me that God told him that he did the same thing for the sons of Adam and Eve. That the sons, they didn't marry their sisters. That God went and did the same thing and created and put them asleep, and made them a wife. I'm just like,
How do you come to
I've
that?
never heard that before, but
How do you go to that?
hey,
That's not what
okay.
this said.
I mean,
I mean, that's a much
Bible
prettier
don't mention
picture.
it's a pretty picture, yeah.
But that's not what
Yeah.
this said.
But it's a different culture, a different world,
Yeah.
and that's the hardest thing is trying to wrap our heads around these different culture and all. You know what I mean? It's not the implications of these things. We're many, 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 thousands and thousands of generations from these things, and the problem with the incest stuff is it's because the offspring become mutant. It's not good for the offspring. You need the what do you call it? Diversity of genes. You need the two people of diverse genes to come together to create something that's going to be better. You know what I mean? Scientifically it's a good thing to cross things up. That's why the whole idea of eugenics and making the pure white race or whatever is kind of a dumb idea because it would be weaker. It's actually better to mix it up. It's actually better to mix it up. So back then, everybody had the gene pool was a lot stronger, so they didn't have as much problems. But as
God
mutants,
had all that under
Yeah.
control.
yeah, and over time, the mutations and all from spreading out and becoming so divergent in the gene pool, as we see today, where we got Asian people and Indian people and Native American people and
Like
white people.
a couple hundred years ago, just for instance, a couple hundred years ago, a little tribe over here somewhere in Africa,
Yeah.
they have 40, 50 people
Mm-hmm.
in their tribe. And there's another tribe over here with
Mm-hmm.
40, 50. I mean, anyway, you can see, of course, I think they would go over and steal their women.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Mhm.
where God had it. I don't know.
I don't know.
But if that little tribe was 50 people, you'd never go stealing a new wife.
Mm-hmm.
They you wonder how that would have turned out.
Well, there's tribes that have really like, especially like not just Africa or whatever, where there's still tribes and things. There's tribes of people that are really tall. There's tribes of people that are really short. So you got the natural selection thing going on there, where tall was cool, so they started mating with people who were taller and taller, and and vice versa, those kind of things. So I don't know. It's way beyond my understanding, but oh boy. So we had the beginning. I hate to leave this with that, but that's where we're at, and it's 7:07. So I guess we'll leave with that, and then we'll get into Abram and Lot separate in chapter 13 after that. Next week.
Right.
And it'll be a lot more interesting, I think, then.
Well, y'all have a good evening.
Yeah.
I'll lock the door because I put these back.
Okay. Oh. All right. Well, I guess we're done tonight, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Next week, starting in chapter 13, and we'll be going and seeing Abram and Lot separating, which is awesome, and then all the way up to Sodom and Gomorrah. I think we'll probably get all the way through Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's the goal, anyways.
See y'all later.
Okay,
Or
bye.
maybe we won't.
Have a wonderful night.
No, we probably won't get all the way to that. Or will we? Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.